Hello, my dear students. Hope you guys are all doing good. Hope you guys are all perfectly fine. So now in this video, I will try to explain to you the GST MTP series 2. So series 1 we have already recorded. So now in this video, I'm going to explain you about the MTP series number 2 relating to the GST. I'm going to explain it in a quick manner so that if at all you want to refer it in the last moment of the examination, if at all you are getting stuck somewhere by reading this MTP, you can watch this video to get that clarity of the concepts. But my humble suggestion, guys, don't directly try to watch the videos relating to MTP. So whatever it is, RTP or MTP, first try to solve it on your own. If at all you are getting confused, if at all you are getting stuck somewhere regarding answer, or you are having a disagreement with the answer given in the institute, then only you refer why the answer given by the ICA is correct, from what perspective it is correct. To understand that, to get that clarity, only watch this MTP video. So this video I am uploading only for the sake of your reference. So some people, what they will do is, they will not try to solve the MTP RTPs on their own. Directly they will watch the video. That is not going to help you in any way. So first, RTP, MTP, you should be trying out on your own. If at all you are getting stuck somewhere, if at all you are not getting the proper explanation, if at all you are not getting confused, if at all you are not getting the clarity about that thing in the suggested answer, then only you watch this video for the purpose of getting the clarity. So that is my humble request for you. Having said that, I will begin my discussion. So first I will be explaining to you MCQ part. So there is one case scenario based MCQ given. So let us try to have a quick look at that case scenario. Let us try to understand the facts of the case, what they are trying to say here. And as I always say, the healthy practice, the healthy habit, whenever you are reading these kind of case scenario questions, either whenever you get the important facts, either try to highlight it, either try to mark it, or better you develop a summary somewhere, so that you will not miss out on the facts, so that you will not unnecessarily waste your time. But what most of the students will do is, they will directly give one plain reading, one novel reading, they will give to the entire case study. Then when they read the question once again, they have to refer it, they have to go back to the question and search where this question is relating to which aspect of the case study. So that is what most of the students face the difficulty. So my humble request, whenever you are reading the question itself, especially case scenario based MCQ, if you are reading, at the time of reading the question only, you try to highlight the important points, you try to make the summary. That will save a lot of your time. So this is my suggestion. So but anyhow, let us try to understand this case scenario. Ecotech Solutions Private Limited is engaged in manufacturing and supply of energy products and solutions across multiple states in India. The company manufactures solar panels and also imports certain category of solar panels as per the customer's orders. The company also provides installation services and annual maintenance contracts for its products. Okay, they spoke about the SSE, they spoke about what business they are doing, what kind of activities they are doing, everything they spoke about it. Now, the company received an advance payment for a bulk order of goods in March 2024. The company has got some advance payment, but the delivery was completed in May 2024 only. The amount of advance received by the company was 1 crore rupees. See, this company, when they got the advance, in the month of March, they got the advance for the purpose of supply of goods. What will be the time of supply for that advance? So if you remember, when we discuss the time of supply chapter, when it comes to supply of the goods, date of receipt of payment becomes irrelevant. Date of receipt of payment becomes irrelevant. In the case of supply of goods, time of supply will be decided on the basis of the invoice or the due date for giving of invoice. So no. So this advance, even though it has been received in the month of March, do you think this company will pay the GST in the for the month of March only? No, advance payment doesn't have any identity when it comes to determining time of supply in the case of supply of goods. So here, even though they have received the advance in the month of March, this will not be offered. This advance will not be offered to taxation for the month of March. It will be offered to the taxation for the month only when the invoice has been issued. So, but the delivery was completed in May 2024. Since the delivery got completed in May 2024, this amount will be treated as supply only in the month of May only, not in the month of March. So the amount of advance received by the company was 1 crore. Okay. During the month of March 2024, the company sold goods worth 5 crore rupees, and they provided services amounting to 1 crore to its customers across India. So for the month of March, they are now giving the details. They made a supply of goods worth 5 crore rupees. They made supply of services worth 1 crore. Total supply, how much they have made? 6 crores of supply they have made. 5 crores is for goods, 1 crore is for services. The goods worth 1 crore sold under multiple invoices were returned by the customer due to defective quality in the month of March 2024, which were originally sold by the company in December 2023. That means company sold some goods in the month of December 2023, but those goods were returned by the customers in the month of March. The company previously sold the goods in the month of December 2023 only. But those goods are actually returned by the customers because of the defective quality. Those goods are actually returned by the customers when in the month of March 2024 they have been returned. Now the company will issue credit notes for that in the month of March, and that credit notes will be declared in the month of March. So credit notes is going to reduce my supply. So, customers, due to defective quality in the month of March 2024, which were originally sold by the company in December 2023, the company issued a GST credit note against the returned goods in the March 2024. So, they have made outward supplies of 6 crore rupees. They have also given back the credit. They have also issued credit notes. That means there were sales returns. That credit notes will be declared. That is going to reduce my outward supplies. So, total, what will be the net supplies which have been declared in the month of March? It will be net 5 crores. 6 crores is outward supply, but since there are already credit notes, that is going to reduce my supply value. So net for the month of March, 5 crore rupees of supply will be declared in their GSTR 1. Next one, coming to the next point. The company incurred an amount of 5 lakh rupees on the repair on the returned goods to make them reusable in the market to customers other than a related party. So now they have got back that 1 crores worth of goods. No, on that 1 crore worth of goods, the company has spent 5 lakh rupees to rectify the defects. See, customers return the products. Why? Because they find some defects in that products. So the customers gave it back. Now company has to do something about it. So what the company has done is they have incurred an expenditure of 5 lakh rupees and made that returned goods correct in order to make them in order to sell them to the customers. Further, the customer who returned the goods issued an invoice to the Gujarat unit of the company of 1 lakh rupees for the expenses related to return of goods. Now, customers, when they are sending back the goods to you, they will also incur expenditure. For example, the customer, if he is not satisfied with the quality of the products, he will send it back. Now, he has to incur transportation charges, all that things will be incurred. So, that customers, what they have done is you send the defective quality of the goods. Now, we have to send it back to you. For that, we have incurred the expenditure. For that, we will bill it to you. We will give you invoice for the purpose of expenditure, whatever we have incurred for the purpose of making that return. So the customers, they gave expenses, they gave a bill, they gave an invoice to that company for the amount of 1 lakh rupees. Next. So that will become an inward. Since they have given invoice to the company, that will become an inward supply for them. Next one. The goods were initially sold from the Gujarat unit of the company, but the same were returned to the Maharashtra unit of the company and subsequently moved by the company from Maharashtra unit to the Gujarat unit. So what basically they are trying to say is this company is having businesses multiple places. Now they have a unit in Maharashtra also. They have a unit in Gujarat also. Sales returns happened. No. Initially what happened is the sales were returned to the Maharashtra unit. Whatever returned goods were there, they went from Maharashtra unit to the Gujarat unit. So if you see here, movement of the goods happening between the distinct persons. These both entities, these both units belong to the same entity, but they will be treated as distinct persons. No, they will be treated as distinct persons, which are discussed in the schedule 1. So in case if the movement of the goods is happening between the distinct persons, then it will be deemed to be supply even if there is no consideration. See, both the units are belonging to same entity. For both the units, they would have taken the registration, but still for the purpose of supply, they will be deemed as distinct units. And whenever the movement is happening between the distinct units, even though there is no consideration, still that will be treated as supply. So this movement of the goods, whatever is happening from Maharashtra unit to the Gujarat unit, even though there is no consideration, still this activity will be treated as supply only. Clear? So this activity will be treated as supply. Then the company is registered under GST in both the states. That is, it is registered in the Gujarat state also. It is also registered in the Maharashtra state. Next, what else they say? Based on the facts of the above case scenario, choose the most appropriate answers for the below given questions. So on the basis of above facts, whatever they have given, they are asking us to answer some questions. Let us see what are the questions which they are asking, and let us try to find out the answers for that questions. So starting with question number 1. So what does question number 1 say? At what point of time the tax will be payable in relation to the advance received by the company of 1 crore? You tell me, in which month it will be paid, in the month of receiving of advance or whenever the invoice has been given. So when it comes to supply of goods, receipt of payment becomes immaterial. Time of supply will be decided on the basis of invoice or due date of issuing the invoice. So this 1 crore advance has been received in the month of March, but the supply was happened when? But the delivery happened in May 2024. So this 1 crore rupees will be offered to taxation. When? For the month of May 2024, it will be offered for taxation. So the same thing even they try to say here. Just give me a moment. The same thing even they try to say here. So if we read the answer, the tax is payable at the time of receipt of advance. No, this is wrong. The tax is payable at the time of supply of the goods. Yes, this is correct. 50% of that is in our example, it will be May. 50% of the tax is payable at the time of receipt of advance. Did I teach you any such provision? No. Tax is payable at the time of issuance of the receipt voucher. No. When you receive the advance, you will give receipt voucher. Even though you give the receipt voucher, even though you declare in that return, but still you are not required to pay the tax on that. You will pay the tax only when you issue the invoice. Clear? So that's why the tax is payable at the time of supply of the goods, not at the time of receipt of advance. Next one. The total amount of supply during the month of March 2024 to be reported in the GSTR1. In total GSTR1, what will be the amount of supply? 6 crores will be your outward supply, but however, credit notes worth of 1 crore is also there. So net in your GSTR1, how much amount of supplies will be there? 5 crores worth of supply will be there. So option will be B. Next one. Which of the following option is correct in relation to returned goods of value 1 crore? So as we have seen in the question, the customers, they are not happy with the quality. They found some defective quality of the goods. They returned goods worth 1 crore rupees to the company. So let us see regarding that returns by the customers, what question they are asking. Company has an option to issue single credit note against the multiple invoices. Obviously, like if you pay attention when we discuss the tax invoice, credit and debit notes, for example, there is a company. Okay. Now there is some company. Okay. Let me put it like this. There is a company. It is sold. So it gave so many invoices to one person. There is one recipient. To that recipient, they have given multiple invoice number 23, invoice number 48, invoice number 59, invoice number 64. Four invoices. Through 4 invoices, they have made a sale. Now, with respect to every invoice, he found some defective quality. He returned all that goods. Now, company can do two things. If they want, they can give separate credit note for each invoice. Or if they want, the company is also having option to give a one single consolidated credit note referring to all the invoices. So the company is having two options. If they want, they can give separate credit notes for each and every invoice. Or else what they can do, they can give one single consolidated credit note also they can give. Clear? So that option is also available. So you tell me, is the company having an option to issue single credit note for all the multiple invoices? Yes, that option is always given to the registered person under the GST laws. For a moment, I got a doubt whether the recording is turned on or not. Thank God. Next one. The company has to mandatorily issue credit note against each invoice. No, there is no such mandatory requirement. Option has been given under the GST law. If you want, you can issue single credit note also. The company cannot issue credit note in any subsequent period after supply is met. Is it so? No, you can issue credit note even after the period also. There is no problem. The company can only issue commercial credit note. No, here not only commercial credit note, you can give credit note under GST Act also. So option A is the correct option. Next one. In case goods returned are sold by the company to customers other than the related parties, what will be the value of supply of such goods under GST Act? Under GST Act, nothing bad. As I have told, the company has got back goods from the customers. So no, on that goods, the company has done some work. Okay, now the goods become ready for use. Now these goods are sold to unrelated party. See, when the goods are sold to unrelated parties, what will be on what value GST will be paid? On the basis of transaction value. So whatever value that you are charging from that unrelated parties for the purpose of making that sale, on that transaction value, GST is required to be paid. So no. So why? Because you got back the goods, you did some repairs, now you are selling it to unrelated persons. If you sell the goods to related parties, then the value will be decided as per valuation rules, which I told will be discussed at the CA final level. But here they are clearly telling they returned the goods, they got back the goods, on that they have done some work. Now the goods are ready for sale in the market. They sold that goods to unrelated party. When the goods are sold to unrelated party, we can directly determine the transaction value. On that transaction value, you can pay the GST. Clear? So let us look at the option. So in case, what will be the value? Let us see. Equivalent to the original value of supply. Why you have to pay attention to the original value? You need not pay any attention to the original value of the supply. Equivalent to the original value of the supply plus cost incurred on making the goods reusable? Definitely not. So you need not pay any attention to the original value only. So they are telling, so 1 crore you got return, on that 5 lakh rupees of expenses you have incurred. So the value of supply will be 1.05 crore. Did I say you any of this provision like this? No. 110% of the original value of supply. No, this is also incorrect. Since the transaction you have already done to unrelated party, what you can simply do is the transaction value, whatever value that you have collected from that customer, that value will be your value of GST. On that you have to pay the GST amount. So option will be option number D. Next. Sir, which of the following options is correct in relation to invoice of 1 lakh issued by the customer for the expenses relating to returned goods? As I have told, customer sent back the goods. Now, in relation to that sending back, customer incurred expenditure. So he gave invoice to the company. sir, you have sent me the goods. I have to return that goods. For that returning of the goods, I have incurred some expenditure. For that, I am giving you an invoice. I gave you invoice for that return expenditure. Now, for example, he gave invoice for 1 lakh rupees. On that GST also he has charged 18,000 rupees of GST also he has charged. Now you tell me, can our company in the given case, can they claim that input tax credit? Obviously, the customer has given you invoice, on that GST has been charged. Can I take that ITC, sir? Yes, you can take that ITC of that full amount also. There is no restriction. So which of the following expense options is correct in relation to invoice of 1 lakh rupees issued by the customer for the expenses relating to returned goods? The company shall be eligible to avail full input tax credit. Obviously, you can do it. The company shall not be allowed to avail input tax credit. No. The company shall not be allowed to avail input tax credit in excess of 50%. No. The company shall be allowed to claim input tax credit only if it has not issued any credit note to the customer against such return goods. No, there is no such condition. So they have got it back and they have billed it, so you can happily claim that input tax credit. Next one. While moving the goods from Maharashtra unit to the Gujarat unit by the company, goods shall be accompanied by. So as I have told, when the goods are getting moved from Maharashtra to Gujarat, it will be treated as supply even though there is no consideration. And whenever you are making supply, that movement should be accompanied by tax invoice. Tax invoice should be there. So whenever this movement is happening between Maharashtra unit and Gujarat unit, this is treated as supply and that should be accompanied by invoice. If the movement is happening other than supply, then we will give delivery challan. But this is not other than supply, this is supply only. This movement has to be supported by invoice. So original invoice, if you send the original invoice, whatever you have sent, will that be enough? No, that will not be enough. Invoice issued by returning customer to the Gujarat unit. No, whatever invoice your customer has given for return, can you take it for the purpose of movement? No. Invoice by Maharashtra unit to the Gujarat unit. Yes, whatever. See here, who is sending? Maharashtra unit is sending. To whom it is sending? To the Gujarat unit is sending. Who should give the invoice? They should give the invoice. Maharashtra unit should give the invoice to the Gujarat unit. Delivery challan. No delivery challan, you will not give it here. You have to give one new invoice. That invoice should be given by the Maharashtra unit to the Gujarat unit of the company. If you don't give the tax invoice and you have to move the goods, then if officer catches you on the way, you have to face the consequences. Next one. Mr. Jambulal of Himachal Pradesh starts a new business and makes the following supplies in the first month. Intrastate supply of taxable goods amounting to 17 lakh rupees. Supply of exempted goods 1 lakh rupees. Interstate supply of taxable goods amounting to 1 lakh. So if you remember, section number 24 says compulsory registration. Some people are required to obtain compulsory registration. In that first point, they'll say a person whoever is making interstate supply. But however, if you are making interstate supply of services, you will be exempted. But if you make interstate supply of goods, then you become liable for compulsory registration. Your threshold limit does not come into picture here. So in the question, they have clearly told he is making interstate supply of taxable goods. However, if they would have mentioned somewhere that they are notified handicraft products, then also 20 lakhs limit will become applicable. So, but here they also did not say it. They directly told he is making interstate supply of taxable goods. Yes, this he will fall under compulsory registration under section number 24. So Mr. Jambulal is liable to obtain registration as the threshold limit of 10 lakhs is crossed. No, here threshold limit of not 10 lakh rupees. Since he is engaged in the supply of goods, 20 lakh rupees of limit will become applicable. 20 lakhs will be the applicable limit. Next one. Sorry, not even 20 lakh rupees of limit. Here limit itself doesn't matter. Why? Because he's making interstate supply compulsory registration. Limit doesn't matter here. So this is not the case. Mr. Jambulal is not liable to obtain registration as he makes exempted supplies. No. Even though he's making only one exempted supply, but remaining two are taxable supplies. No. Mr. Jambulal is liable to obtain registration as he makes the interstate supply of the goods. Yes, he falls under section number 24, compulsory registration. Mr. Jambulal is not liable to obtain registration as the threshold limit of 20 lakhs is not crossed. Here, limit itself does not become applicable. Interstate supply, compulsory registration. So, option C is the correct option. Next one. Simmo Singh, a resident of Punjab, is having a residential property in Amritsar, Punjab, which has been given on rent to a family for 72 lakh rupees per annum for residence purposes. Renting of residential dwelling for residential purposes exempted. In case if you give residential dwelling for use as commercial purposes, then it will be liable for GST. But in the given case, renting of residential property is happening. The purpose is also for residential purposes only. So this will be exempted. Determine whether Simmo Singh is liable to pay GST on such rent. No. Yes, first option says yes. No, it is wrong. No services by way of renting of residential property for residential purposes is exempted. No service by way of renting of residential property does not constitute a supply. It becomes a supply. It is treated as supply. It is a service in relation to immovable property. It will be a supply. But why it is exempted is because it is why GST is not payable is because it is exempted. It will be supply, but it is exempted. That's why there is no GST here. Simo Singh being individual is not liable to pay GST. See here, he is individual or not, that doesn't matter. The act has clearly told if any residential property has been given for rent on residential purposes, GST will be exempted. So that is the correct reason. So option B is going to be the correct option. Clear everybody till here? So understood the MCQs. So now coming to the descriptive part. So we'll try to solve the descriptive part now. So what they are trying to say. Mr. Nandan Lal registered under GST is engaged in supplying services as discussed in the table below in Hyderabad. So he's having a place of business in Hyderabad. He has furnished the following information with respect to the services received or provided by him during the month of the February. So they have given what services he has supplied, what services he has received for the month of February. See, first question always will be to calculate the GST payable in cash. So what is the GST amount that you have to pay in cash? That will be the requirement. So now we have to find out for each and every step, whatever input services, whatever output services they have told, we have to find out what is the output tax liability. So always make 3 tables. Always better you make 3 tables. So what 3 tables you have to make is whenever they're asking you to determine the cash payable, what is the GST payable in cash, always better you make 3 tables. Number 1, output tax liability under 3 heads: IGST, CGST, SGST. Similarly, if you are required to, sometimes you might be required to pay tax under reverse charge mechanism. So for that also, you better make one thing. You better make one table for any liability that you are required to pay under reverse charge mechanism. Is there any liability for you to pay the tax under reverse charge mechanism? If yes, that also you have to write IGST, CGST, SGST. Then you have to add one column for input tax credit. For input tax credit also IGST, CGST, SGST. So now let us try to calculate these things. I think I will move it here. Okay. So what are the services? Number 1, Carnatic music performance given by Mr. Nandan Lal to promote a brand of ready-made garments. So what they are telling, Carnatic performance which is given by Mr. Nandan Lal. He is giving one Carnatic performance for a value of 1,40,000. See, if you remember exemptions chapter, the services, the performance by an artist in areas of music, dance and drama, they will be exempted if a consideration is up to 1,50,000. In the given case, the consideration is 1,40,000 only, but that exemption will not become applicable if you are promoting, if you are providing that services as a brand ambassador. If you are promoting that services as a brand ambassador of some company, then it will not be exempted. Then that 1,50,000 rupees of limit will not become applicable. That service will be completely liable for GST. So this 1,40,000 rupees will be a output tax on that. This will be a outward supply on that. GST will be there. But they did not mention whether it is a interstate or intrastate. They did not mention. Let us see whether anything extra they have mentioned in the note. Rates of CGST, SGST and IGST are 9, 9 and 18. Okay. All inward and outward supplies are exclusive of taxes. Okay. All the conditions necessary for availing the ITC have been fulfilled. The turnover of Mr. Nandan Lal was 2.5 crores in the previous year. Okay. All the transactions are mentioned above are intrastate unless otherwise specified. So they have told treat above supplies as intrastate only unless they specifically mention somewhere it is interstate. So this will assume it as a intrastate, and on that GST will be there. What will come? CGST will come, SGST will come at the rate of 9% and at the rate of 9%. So if we fill that table, so dramatic that Carnatic performance, whatever is there. See, this I am not writing it here. Sorry, I should write it here. Output tax liability. So what she has done? Carnatic performance. How much value? 1,40,000. So on that, which liability will come? CGST, SGST. So let me calculate it here. So calculator. So 1,40,000 into 0.09. So 12,600 rupees of CGST, 12,600 rupees of SGST. Clear everybody till here? Next one. Coming to the next item. Outdoor catering services availed for a marketing event organized for his prospective customers. See, this is an inward supply. They are not talking about services provided. If you see here, this person, he or she has received outdoor catering services availed. This is an input. This is not an output. This is an input supply So they have received some outdoor catering services for a marketing event organized for his prospective customers. They have conducted an event. For that event, they needed a food. They received outdoor catering services. And how much value of outdoor catering services they have received? 50,000. So this is the input service. Can I avail input tax credit on it? No, input tax credit cannot be availed. Why input tax credit is not availed? On these kind of services, ITC is blocked. On outdoor catering services, ITC is blocked unless you are also in the same line of business. If you are receiving outdoor catering services and if you are also in the same line of business, then you can avail input tax credit. But in this case, you can't avail input tax credit. Why? Because you are not in the same line of business. Clear? So this 50,000, even though it is input on this GST, you can't claim it as an input tax credit. So nothing we are supposed to do, we have to ignore it. But you have to make note that all this you are explaining in the note points. So just presenting the tables alone will not be enough, guys. Even you have to give the explanation in the notes also regarding each and every point. Next one. Services of transportation of students provided. Now they're talking about output. They have provided services of transportation of students to HSMG College, providing education as a part of curriculum for obtaining a recognized qualification. Taxable, exempted. Taxable. See, if you provide services of transportation of students to an educational institution which is providing preschool education or education up to the higher secondary level, up to class 12, then only it will be exempted. But in the given case, you are providing services of transportation of students to an educational institution which is not providing preschool education, which is also not providing education up to class 12. You are providing services of transportation of students to an educational institution which is providing education as a part of curriculum obtaining a reasonable qualification, like a degree college. To one degree college, you are providing transportation of students. Will that service be exempted? No, it will not be exempted. It will be taxable. So this 1 lakh rupees will be taxable. It will be an outward supply. It will be taxable. Whether it is a interstate or intrastate, they did not mention anything specifically, so we have to assume it as a intrastate only. So CGST and SGST will come. So transportation of students, on that transportation of students, on that CGST and SGST, 1 lakh at the rate of 9%, 9,000 rupees of CGST, 9,000 rupees of SGST will be paid, is required to be paid. Okay, coming to the next point. Legal services availed for official purposes from an advocate located in Chennai, interstate supply. Now they are talking about inputs. Now this registered person, he has received legal services from an advocate. We know that when legal services are provided to a person whose aggregate turnover in the preceding financial year has exceeded the applicable threshold limit, then they become liable for paying tax under reverse charge mechanism. So in the given case, our registered person has received the legal services, and in the note they have clearly told the turnover in the previous year was 2.5 crores. That means turnover in the preceding year has exceeded the applicable threshold limit. So this will be an input service, and on this service, tax is required to be paid under reverse charge mechanism. And this is the interstate supply. IGST at the rate of 18% is required to be paid by the recipient only. Who received? Mr. Nandan Lan received. Since he is a recipient, he is only required to pay the GST under reverse charge mechanism at the rate of 18%. So now you have to come to the second table. So legal services, whatever you have availed. So on that, you have to pay the GST under reverse charge mechanism. The value is 1,75,000, and they have clearly told it is an interstate supply. So 1,75,000 into 0.18. If I calculate, it will come to 31,500 rupees of input tax credit of GST you have to pay on your inward services of IGST. And one thing you have to remember, whatever GST liability that arises because of reverse charge mechanism, that you have to compulsorily pay it in cash only. You can't avail input tax credit for making the payment. And whatever you have paid, whatever this RCM you have paid, that you can enjoy it as a input tax credit. Obviously you can enjoy. So from the legal services, better we will make one more column also. See, in the question anywhere they did not give about opening balances. That means there are no opening balances of credits. But you have received legal services, on that you have paid the GST on reverse charge mechanism. Can I take that as a credit? Obviously you can take that as a credit. But whatever payment you have to make for that reverse charge mechanism, that you have to compulsorily pay it in cash. For this you can't avail input tax credit. But whatever you have paid, that you can avail it as an input tax credit. Very good. Next one. Services provided to IFMP Bank as a business correspondent with respect to accounts in a branch of a bank located in urban area. See, if these services would have been provided, individual is providing the services of business correspondent to a bank which is located in the urban area. So this is not exempted. It is a rural area. So this is the bank, you are providing the services to a urban bank, not to a rural area. This services will be taxable. This services will be taxable. See, the service is taxable, no doubt about it. But whether on this service the tax is required to be paid under forward charge mechanism or tax is required to be paid under reverse charge mechanism, this has to be questioned. Why? Because somewhere you might have read in the charge of GST chapter some services of business correspondent, something you have read in the charge of GST chapter when it comes to reverse charge mechanism, business correspondent you would have come across. So now immediately doubt will come. Okay, this service is taxable, but under forward charge mechanism or reverse charge mechanism? See, if it is under forward charge mechanism, this person, since this Mr. Nandan Lal is providing the services, he is only required to pay. In case if it is covered under reverse charge mechanism, as a service provider, Nandan Lal is not required to pay the tax, recipient will pay the tax. Now, we have to decide whether it will be covered under reverse charge mechanism or forward charge mechanism. For that, I will take you through the provisions of charge of GST, whatever we have read. I will make you remind it. So, see, if you see here, see, this is what you might have read in the charge of GST, which says if agent of business correspondent, provided the services to the business correspondent, this will get covered under reverse charge mechanism. However, if the business correspondent is directly providing the services to the bank or the financial institution, then in that case, those will not get covered under reverse charge mechanism. That will be covered under forward charge mechanism only. If agent of business correspondent provided services to the business correspondent, then it will get covered under reverse charge mechanism. But in the given question, who is providing services? In the given question, business correspondent is providing the services to the bank directly. This will not get covered under reverse charge mechanism. This will get covered under forward charge mechanism only. Nandan Lal providing the services, he is required to pay the GST to the government. So how much? 2 lakh rupees of output tax, 2 lakh rupees will be the value of supply. Since nothing has been mentioned, this will be intrastate supply we will assume. So CGST and SGST both has to be paid. So 2 lakh rupees at the rate of 9% CGST, 9% SGST that you have to pay. So business correspondent services, how much you have to pay? 2 lakh rupees into 9%, 18,000 rupees of CGST, 18,000 rupees of SGST, both you have to pay it. Okay, coming to the next item. Recovery agent services provided to a car dealer. See, recovery agent services are taxable, and recovery agent services will get covered under reverse charge mechanism if that recovery agent services are provided to banks or financial institutions or NBFCs. Even let me show you here only. So anyhow, we have opened the material. Let me show you here itself. See, recovery agent services. Where is it? Here it is. Services supplied by a recovering agent to a banking company, financial institution, or NBFC. Then only RCM will come. In the given case, Nandan Lal is providing recovery agent services, but not to the bank. He is providing that recovery agent services to a car dealer. So you tell me, will this be covered under RCM or FCM? This will be covered under FCM only. So recovery agent services, 15,000 will be getting covered under forward charge mechanism only. So how much value? 15,000 rupees. So 15,000 into 0.09, 1,350. So 1,350 rupees of CGST, 1,350 rupees of SGST, output tax liability will be there. General insurance taken. Now they're not talking about outputs, they're talking about inputs. So this Nandan Lal has bought a general insurance for his car, which will be used for official purposes. And for that, he has paid 40,000 rupees of general insurance. This is an input service. Can he avail input tax credit on this amount? No, credit is blocked under 17 subsection 5. They say if you are buying a motor vehicle which is having a seating capacity of less than or equal to 13, you can't avail the input tax credit on this unless you are into business of supply of such motor vehicles, or you are using that motor vehicle for the purpose of transportation of passengers, or you are using that motor vehicle for the purpose of imparting the driving skills. Similarly, whatever general insurance you have paid on that motor vehicle, that will also be disallowed unless you are into these 3 kinds of businesses. So in the given case, Nandan Lal has taken a general insurance on the car having a seating capacity of less than or equal to having a seating capacity of 5, and they did not mention is he in the same line of business of selling that cars, is he in the business of transportation of passengers, or is he in the business of imparting the driving skills. They did not say anywhere. So that's why on this 40,000 rupees, no input tax credit can be taken, no ITC will be taken. So with this we have covered everything. Now let us try to see the settlement. What is output tax liability? So output tax liability is, if I calculate 12,600 plus 9 plus 1,600 plus 90 plus So 12.6 plus 9 plus 35. So it will be 40,950 rupees of CGST, 40,950 rupees of SGST. No IGST is there. Then you have IGST payment of 31,500. This you have to pay it in cash only. Compulsorily you have to pay that in cash. You can't utilize input tax credit. Then you have IGST 31,500 rupees of IGST only. We have no CGST, no SGST. Now we have a output tax liability of IGST 0. Then we have 40,950 rupees of CGST, 40,950 rupees of SGST. Now I have ITC of 31,500 of IGST. How I can use it? Since there is no IGST output tax liability, you can use this 31,500 in whatever manner you want. Since we don't have any balance of IGST of, since we don't have any ITC of CGST and SGST, in whatever manner we are using, it doesn't matter. In whatever manner you are using this input tax credit, that doesn't matter. If you use it completely for CGST, then also doesn't matter. When you use it completely for SGST, then also it doesn't matter. If you use 50-50, then also it doesn't matter. It is not going to have any significant impact. So what I will do is, in the suggested answer, if you find, they will say 50% will be used here, 50% will be used here. So if I do that 50%, 50%, so we'll do the calculation from the suggested answer here. So if I do 50%, 50%, so 15,750 I will use it for CGST. 15,750 I will use it for SGST. So whatever balance component is there, that I have to pay it in cash. How much it will be? It will be 25,200. 25,200 rupees of CGST, 25,200 rupees of SGST. Along with that, whatever RCM is there. What is RCM liability? 31,500. So this everything you have to pay it in cash. So this is your total payment in the cash. Understood? So that's all. This is what the question, and this is what the suggested answer. So let us have a look at the subsequent questions. LSP Limited, a registered supplier, sold a machine to Balwant Limited. It provides the following information in this regard. Price of the machine, excluding taxes and any other details. So directly without below they have given certain things. Without considering any of that things, the price of the machine is how much? 20,000 rupees. Okay. Third party inspection charges. Will it be added to the value of supply? Yes, 100% it will be added. So this should be added. Such charges were payable by LSP Limited, but the same have been directly paid by the Balwant Limited to the inspection agency. Those charges were not recorded in the invoice. So if you remember one clause, whatever we have read in the value of supply chapter, so they will say one thing here. So let me read it from here only. So any amount that the supplier is liable to pay in relation to the supply, that means supplier is required to pay some amount. But instead of the supplier, if the recipient is making that payment, even that amount also should be included in the value. The same thing, even they are also saying it here in the question. This third party inspection charges are required to be paid by the supplier, but instead of the supplier, recipient has only paid it. That means the charge which is required to be paid by the supplier has been incurred by the recipient. Should this be added to the value of supply? Yes, this will be added. Next one. Freight charges for delivery of the machine. LSP Limited has agreed to deliver the goods at the Balwant Limited premises. So will that delivery charges be added? Yes, even that freight charges also will be added. Now, subsidy received from the state government on the sale of machine under skill development program, subsidy is directly linked to the price. So we have read one provision that subsidy has to be added to the value of supply. But there we have also seen exception. Two conditions are required to be fulfilled in order to add that subsidy to the value of the supply. So what they say here is, supply should not have been given by state government or central government. If the subsidy is given by state government or central government, then it will not be added to the value of supply. And also, subsidy should have been linked to the price. See, in the given case, subsidy is linked with the price of the goods, but since the subsidy has been given to the state government or central government, should we add that to the once again? Should we add it to the value once again? No, you should not add it. Why? Because section 15, in that section 15, they have clearly told, in case if you have received any subsidy and if that subsidy has been given by state or central government, then that should not be added to the value of supply. So here that subsidy, whatever you are receiving from the state government, you should not add it. Will this be added, guys? Sorry. So will that be added? No, that will not be added. This 5,000 will not be added. Okay, so we will add this 20,000, 6,000 we will add, 1,000 rupees we will add. And one more thing also they are telling, discount of 2% is offered to Balwant Limited on the price mentioned in number 1. That means on this 20,000, even discount at the rate of 2% is also given, and that discount has been recorded in the invoice. If the discount is specifically recorded in the invoice, that we can reduce it from the value. So on 20,000, if you calculate 2%, how much it will be? 400. So if I'm not wrong, it will be 400. Yes. So now what is the total value for the purpose of GST? 20,000 plus 6,000 plus 1,000 minus 400. So if you take it out, the balance will be treated as value of supply. So that will be 26,600. Understood? Next one. Coming to the next question. State the person liable to pay the GST in the following independent services provided. Let us see. Number one, Sapna Builders, registered in Haryana, rented out 20 residential units owned by it in Jain Society to Ananta Technologies, an IT-based company registered in the state of Haryana for accommodation of its employees. See, renting of residential dwelling is happening, but that renting of residential dwelling is happening for other than residential purposes. You are giving that residential property on rent to a company. Company will use it for providing accommodation to its employees. That means you are actually giving that residential dwelling for commercial purposes to the company. You are giving, company will use it for whatever purposes they want, but you have given that residential dwelling for commercial purposes. So now, will that be exempted or GST will come? GST will come. And specifically in this case, they have told that the RCM will become applicable. What will become applicable? Reverse charge mechanism will become applicable here. Understood? The same thing even you will also find it here. Services provided by way of renting of residential dwelling for use as residence, except where the residential dwelling is rented to a registered person, is exempt from GST. Generally, if you are renting out residential dwelling and if the recipient is not registered, generally it is exempted. But in the given case, it is rented out to registered person. So further tax on service provided by way of renting of residential dwelling to a registered person. Even the recipient is also what? Registered here. Since the recipient is registered, it is payable by the recipient under reverse charge. Therefore, in the given case, Ananta Technology, since being a recipient, he is liable to pay the GST on residential dwellings taken on rent by it from Sapna Builders under reverse charge mechanism. Able to understand? So that clause clearly says if you are into business of renting of residential dwelling to a registered person, if the recipient is a registered person, then generally it will be taxed under reverse charge mechanism. What if the recipient is unregistered? What if the recipient is unregistered? Then it will be exempted. Clear? Next one. Let us see. Mrs. Verma Consultants, a partnership firm registered in Delhi as a regular taxpayer, paid sponsorship fees of 1,50,000 at a seminar organized by a private NGO in Delhi. Sponsorship services. If you remember, regarding sponsorship services also, some clause is there. Some RCM clause is there. So if I take you to that clause, we have a look at that sponsorship services. So if you read that once again, the sponsorship services. Yeah, see here, services provided by way of sponsorship to any body, corporate or partnership. That means if the recipient is a body, corporate or a partnership firm, in that case, recipient is only required to pay the tax under reverse charge mechanism. So in the given case, sponsorship services are getting provided, but what is the status of the recipient? If you have a look at the status of the recipient, they told paid sponsorship fees. So who is availing the services? Verma Consultants, which is a partnership firm. So recipient of sponsorship services is a partnership firm. Yes, then RCM will become applicable. So in the given case, Verma Consultants being the recipients and RCM is getting covered here, they are only required to pay the GST. Understood? Next one. Coming to the next one. Little Smiles, a photography firm, has commenced providing photo shoot services in Delhi from the beginning of the current financial year 2023-24. It has provided the following details of the turnover for the various quarters till December 2023. In the first quarter, April to June, the amount is 20 lakh rupees of turnover. From July to September, 30, October to December, 40. You may assume the applicable rate of tax is 18%. Little Smile wishes to pay tax at a lower rate and opts for composition scheme. They wanted to opt for composition scheme. You tell me, can they opt for composition scheme under 10 subsection 1? No. Why? Because 10 subsection 1 is a composition scheme for those persons who are engaged in the supply of goods or marginal supply of services. But in the given case, the person is exclusively engaged in providing services. So he will not be able to avail composition scheme under 10 subsection 1, but he can avail the composition scheme under 10 subsection 2A, which says that in this case, the person who is engaged in the supply of services, they can avail composition scheme under 10 subsection 2A and they can opt to pay the tax at the rate of 6%, 3% CGST, 3% SGST. So no, but however, as we know, since this person is engaged in the supply of services, the applicable threshold limit is 20 lakhs. Up to 20 lakh rupees is not required to obtain any registration. So, and if it is from MMNT, then the limit will be 10 lakhs only. But in the given case, they told he's supplying services from Delhi. So threshold limit is 20 lakh rupees. So up to 20 lakh rupees is not required to take registration only. So on the initial 20 lakhs, no need to pay any GST. Why? Because up to 20 lakh rupees, you are exempted. Now, the moment your turnover exceeds 20 lakh rupees, then you become liable to pay GST, then you become registered. But as you know, if you opt for composition scheme, you can pay the reduced GST at the rate of 6%. But that composition scheme you can avail only when your turnover is up to 50 lakh rupees. Only when your turnover is up to 50 lakh rupees, till that point of time only you can opt for composition scheme, right? So initially 20 lakhs in the first quarter, your turnover is 20 lakhs only within the threshold limit, no registration, no GST. Now in the second quarter, your turnover has exceeded 20 lakh rupees, you become liable for registration, and assuming you're opting for composition scheme. So on this 30 lakh rupees, not from the beginning, in excess of 20 lakh rupees, whatever turnover you have made, on that you have to pay the GST at the rate of 6%. If you're opting for composition scheme under 10 subsection 2A. So on this 30 lakh rupees, this person will pay CGST at the rate of 3%. That is, on 30 lakh rupees, 3% will be how much? 90,000. And SGST at the rate of 3%, another 90,000. So that much amount he will pay. Now, see, if you see here, by the end of quarter 2, his aggregate turnover, his aggregate turnover has become how much? 50 lakh rupees. And after the end of this quarter, whatever transaction he is doing, that means his turnover has exceeded the limit of 50 lakh rupees. Now going forward, he will not become eligible for composition scheme under 10(2)(a). Whatever extra services he is providing, on that extra services he has to pay the GST at the rate of 18% only. As a regular dealer, you have to pay the GST. So initial 20 lakh rupees, no GST. Up to balance 30 lakh rupees, you can be under composition scheme and pay the GST at the rate of 6%, 3% CGST, 3% SGST. After that, you become ineligible for availing the composition levy. Then after that, whatever GST, whatever turnover you do, on that you become liable to pay GST at the rate, as a regular dealer, at the rate of 18%. So on this 40 lakh rupees, 9% CGST, 9% SGST you have to pay. Understood? So the same thing. So they say a lot of descriptive information, but this is what the gist of the question. So as you could see here, April 23 to June 23, in the first quarter, the turnover is 20 lakh rupees. So no GST is required to be paid. Next one, in July to September, he's liable for registration over and above that 20 lakh rupees, whatever he has made, on that he has to pay GST at the rate of 6%. So in the quarter 2, up to 50 lakhs only, so whatever 30 lakh rupees of turnover he has made, on that he can pay 6%, 1.8 lakhs he can pay. Next one, from October to 23. From October to December, what happened is, the moment here 50 lakh rupees has exceeded, so you become not eligible for 10 subsection 2A. Now whatever further services you are providing, on that you have to pay the GST at the rate of 18%. So on 40 lakh rupees at the rate of 18%, you have to pay the GST, which will come to 7.2 lakh rupees. Able to understand? See here, can this person argue here, I became liable for registration only after exceeding that 20 lakh rupees. Now, I will consider my aggregate turnover. For the purpose of calculating aggregate turnover, I will start counting my aggregate turnover from here only. Can he say that? No. When aggregate turnover has to be calculated, aggregate turnover should be calculated from the first day of the financial year. Not when you become liable for registration. For the purpose of calculating aggregate turnover, the turnover has to be considered from the first day of the financial year itself, not from the date when you become liable for registration. Clear, everybody? So that is one more point I try to explain here in the above explanation, that you can refer it, but this is what the final conclusion. Clear? Next one. Mr. Sohan, a trader registered under GST in Delhi, is engaged in wholesale business of toys for kids. Mr. Roshan, registered under GST in Patiala, a regular return filer, supplies toys in bulk to Mr. Sohan for selling to end customers. So Mr. Sohan, where he is registered? He is registered in Delhi. There is another registered person, Mr. Roshan, is where he is registered in Patiala. He is registered. Okay. And actually, Rohan supplies the goods to Sohan. Rohan is actually supplying the goods to Sohan. So see here, Mr. Roshan, sorry, not Rohan here, Roshan, sorry. Mr. Roshan is registered under GST in Patiala, a regular return filer, supplies toys in bulk quantities to Mr. Sohan for selling to the end consumers. So this person will supply to Sohan. Sohan will further supply to the final consumers. Mr. Sohan, paying tax in regular scheme in Delhi, has not filed GSTR 3B for the last 2 months. He did not file the GSTR 3B for the last 2 months. Then what will happen? As we have read in the e-way bill, if the person did not file the return for 2 continuous months, he will be blocked from generating the e-way bill. You will not be able to generate e-way bill. You will be blocked from generating e-way bill. E-way bill portal will not work for you. So Mr. Roshan, see, who is not filing returns? Mr. S is not filing the returns for 2 months. So now he will not be able to generate e-way bill. In the e-way bill portal, he will not be permitted to generate the e-way bill. Okay, now what is happening? Roshan wants to generate e-way bill for toys amounting to 5 lakh rupees to be supplied from Mr. Sohan. Now Roshan is supplying to Sohan, no? So he is sending 5 lakhs worth of goods to Mr. S. Now Roshan wants to generate e-way bill. Roshan wants to generate e-way bill. Can he do it? Yes, he can do it. See, the e-way bill generating facility will be blocked only for the person who is a defaulter. Now e-way bill, Mr. Yes will not be able to generate the e-way bill. But if Roshan wants to generate the e-way bill for supply which is making it to Sohan, can he do it? Yes, he can do it. So e-way bill generation facility will be blocked only for the person who made the default. Here, Roshan is a regular tax filer. He did not make any default. If he's making supply to Sohan worth of 5 lakh rupees, can he generate e-way bill? Yes, he can generate e-way bill. Blocking is there only for this Mr. Sohan, who is a defaulter. The same thing they say there. Mr. Roshan wants to generate e-way bill for toys amounting to 5 lakh to be supplied to Mr. Sohan. Can he do it? Yes, Roshan can do it. Also, there is another person, Mr. Mohan from Jammu. Now there is another person, Mr. Mohan, who is there from which state? Jammu. Mr. Mohan from Jammu approached Mr. Sohan for purchasing toys amounting to 75,000 for the purpose of return gifts of his son's birthday party. Whatever it is, Mr. Mohan approached Mr. Sohan and he told, sir, you please supply me the toys worth 75,000 to me. Okay. Sohan wants to generate e-way bill in respect of an outward supply of goods to Mr. Mohan. Now you tell me, this person did not file the return for 2 months. Now he is making supply to Mr. Mohan, who is there in Jammu, and the value of supply has exceeded 50,000 rupees. Now it should be accompanied by e-way bill. But you tell me, is Mr. Sohan eligible to generate the e-way bill now? No. Why? Because since he did not file the returns for 2 months, his e-way bill generation facility will be blocked. So now can he generate e-way bill to Mr. Mohan? No, that can't happen. But Mr. Roshan, can he generate the e-way bill of whatever goods he is supplying to Sohan? Yes, he can do it. So Roshan can generate the e-way bill, but here Sohan cannot generate the e-way bill on goods whatever he is supplying to Mr. Mohan. See how they play with the names and all to make you more confused. So examine with reference to the provisions under GST law whether Mr. Roshan and Mr. Sohan can generate e-way bill. There is no problem. Mr. Roshan can generate the e-way bill, but Sohan cannot generate the e-way bill. That's it. That is a summary. Next one. Coming to the next one. Mr. Raj of Rajasthan intends to start business of supply of building material to various construction sites in the Rajasthan. He has taken voluntary registration under GST in the month of April. However, he has not commenced the business till December. See, you taken the registration when April, but you did not commence your business till December. We have one provision. Proper officer on suo moto basis can cancel the registration if the business has not been commenced within 6 months from the date of registration. If you have taken voluntary registration, but if you did not commence the business up to 6 months from the date of registration, then proper officer is having suo moto power to cancel your registration. Here also the same thing happened. The person taken voluntary registration in the month of April, but till December, that means from April, 9 months are over. Still business what? Not commenced. Now you tell me, will the proper officer have the power to cancel the registration? Obviously. Due to lack of working capital, whatever may be the reason, you did not start the business within up to 6 months, no? Proper officer can cancel your registration. The proper officer on suo moto basis cancel the registration of Mr. Raj. He cancelled it. Very good. You are required to examine whether the action taken by the proper officer is valid. 100% yes. Why? Because one of the reason where proper officer on suo moto basis can cancel the registration is when the person who has taken the voluntary registration did not commence the business up to 6 months. Yes, they can cancel the registration. Here the action of the proper officer is 100% valid. Mr. Raj has applied for revocation of cancellation of registration. Now, a person whose registration has been cancelled by proper officer on suo moto basis, can he make an application for revocation of cancellation? Yes. And regarding this amendment is there is a time limit amended. What is the amended time limit for making an application for revocation of cancellation? Within 90 days from the date of service of the cancellation order. Up to 90 days from the date of service of the cancellation order, you can make an application for revocation. And if at all, if the officer is satisfied, even the time limit for making an application for revocation of cancellation can be extended by further 180 days. Amendment, guys, this I have explained in the amendment video and supplementary material also. So here what is happening is Mr. Raj has applied for revocation of cancellation of registration after 40 days from the date of service of the order of cancellation of registration. Did he make the application within the time limit? Yes. Why? Because the time limit given under the act, amended time limit is 90 days from the date of service of the order. Here he is making the application within 40 days only. Is he making the application within time? Yes. Department contends that application for revocation of cancellation of registration can only be made within 30 days. It is a old time limit. No. Now the time limit has been amended. They can make an application up to 90 days. But the department is telling, no, we will not accept your application. Why? Because time limit is only 30 days from the date of service of the order of cancellation. You are requested to comment upon the validity of contentions raised by the department. Whatever contentions department is raising here, that they have to make the application within 30 days only. Is that valid? No, time limit has been amended. Now up to 90 days they can make an application. So here the application made by Mr. Raj is valid. That has to be considered by the proper officer. Okay, right. Coming to the next question. Discuss briefly the place of supply of the goods purchased over the counter in one state and transported to another state by the buyer. See, this also one amendment. This also we have discussed in the amendment class. I will tell you once again here. See, if an unregistered person is from one state, let me give you one example. See, one unregistered person is there. He is from the state of Gujarat. He came as a tourist. He came as a tourist to another person, to another state. For example, he came to Hyderabad. So when he came as a tourist, he's an unregistered person. He came as a tourist to Hyderabad. At the Hyderabad location, he purchased some goods, or he received some. Sorry, he purchased some goods at the Hyderabad, at the Charminar, at the old city. He bought some bangles. A person came from Gujarat, unregistered person, for tourism purpose. He came to Hyderabad. He bought some goods. He bought some bangles from the old city at Hyderabad location. Now you tell me what will be the place of supply. Now this Hyderabad, assume this person is a registered person. Supplier is a registered person. He will give the invoice. No, that supply has to be declared in that invoice. He has to mention GST amount. What is the GST? Whether IGST, CGST will be there. For determining whether it is an interstate supply or interstate supply, place of supply is important. Now, for this kind of transaction, what will be the place of supply? If an unregistered person is coming to a registered person and buying the goods, what will be the place of supply? How to determine place of supply? Regarding this, one amendment is there. In this case, the amendment has told that in such cases, if the address of the recipient is recorded in the invoice, if address of the recipient is recorded in the invoice, then the place of supply will be the location of that recipient. For example, if the invoice given by the supplier, in that invoice he has written so and so person unregistered, so and so person has come, and his address is also recorded in the invoice. When I say address, detailed address is not required to be recorded. Even if the state is also recorded, that is fine. For example, in the invoice it was recorded the address of the recipient is Gujarat, then the place of supply will be Gujarat. Sir, however, in the invoice, if no address has been recorded, even the state is also not recorded, then what will be the place of supply? In such circumstances, place of supply will be location of the supplier. As simple as that. So this is one amendment. We spoke about it a lot in our amendments class also, but anyhow, they are giving it here once again. So once again, I will read it. So that's why I'm telling you, whenever you go for the examination without amendments reading, don't go it. Why? Because from the amendment, some compulsory questions will be there. So if you see here, where the supply of goods is made to a person other than registered person, the place of supply shall be location as per the address of the said person recorded in the invoice in respect of the said supply. And in case if the address is not recorded, then location of the supplier will be the place of supply. Understood? So this entire thing you have to write it. Next question. What would be the place of supply of services provided by an event management company for organizing a sporting event for sports federation which is held in multiple states? Same question is there in MTP1 also. We have even recorded that in the MTP1 as well. Once again, I will say, in case of event related services, event management services, we have to first see the status of the recipient. If the recipient is a registered person, the location of the recipient will be place of supply. If the recipient is unregistered, then the location where that event has taken place will be the place of supply. In case if the event is held in more than one state, then as per the contract, you have to decide what is the amount for each and every state, and accordingly place of supply you have to determine. In case if the contract is silent, then you have to determine the proportion of value in each and every state by applying some generally accepted accounting principles. So no, so just provision you have to write it, no application is required here. Next one, discuss whether the amount available in the electronic credit ledger, can it be used for making payment of any tax under GST law? See, whatever amount you have, whatever credit you have, which will be there in your electronic credit ledger, can you use that for making payment of any tax? No, one exception is there. What is that one exception? In case if you are required to pay the tax under reverse charge mechanism, that amount you have to pay it in cash only. For making payment of tax under reverse charge mechanism, you can't avail the amount which is there in the electronic credit ledger. So whatever amount is there in the electronic credit ledger, that you can generally make use of it for making payment of your output tax. One thing, you can't use it for interest, penalty, all that things you can't use the credit ledger. But they're only saying tax. No, yes, we can make the utilization of amount in the electronic credit ledger for making payment of tax under GST laws. But in case if you are required to pay the tax under reverse charge mechanism, for that payment you can't utilize the amount which is there in the electronic credit ledger. The same thing they have even told you in the answer. So if we read it, the amount available in the electronic credit ledger may be used for making any payment towards output tax under the CGST Act or IGST Act, subject to the provisions relating to order of utilization. Further, output tax in relation to a taxable person is defined as the tax chargeable on taxable supply of goods or services or both, but excludes tax payable on reverse charge mechanism. So accordingly, it is clarified that any payment towards output tax, whether self-assessed in the return or payable as a consequence of any proceedings instituted under the provisions of the GST law, if you are required to pay any output tax liability either because of your own assessment or because of some assessment done by the GST authorities, that can be made by utilization of amount available in the electronic credit ledger. No problem, you can utilize the amount in the electronic credit ledger for that. However, it is further reiterated that as output tax does not include tax payable under reverse charge mechanism, implying thereby that electronic credit ledger cannot be used for making payment of any tax which is payable under reverse charge mechanism. You can't use the amount which is available in the electronic credit ledger for making payment of tax which is required to pay under reverse charge mechanism. Understood? That's all. So this is what regarding MTP2. So hope you guys have benefited from these MTPs also. So that's all from my side, guys. All the very best for your examination. Take care, everybody. Bye.